Jae-hyun Kim walked through the metal halls of Station Kepler 7, his boots making soft sounds on the cold floor. The walls were silver and clean, with blue lights running along the ceiling. This place was nothing like home. Back on Earth, buildings were made of stone and wood. Here, everything was metal and glass, built to float in the dark space between stars. Other students moved past him in the hallway. Most of them were not human. There was a tall blue creature with 4 arms and skin like rock. Its name was Commander Veltar, and it taught combat classes. 3 smaller aliens with green skin walked together, talking in a language that sounded like music. Their eyes glowed yellow in the dim light. Jae-hyun had been at the Galactic Defense Academy for 3 months now. He still felt like an outsider. The other students looked at him and the other humans like they were strange animals in a zoo. Some aliens whispered when humans walked by. Others just stared. Jae-hyun, wait up. He turned to see So-min Park running toward him. Her black hair bounced as she moved and she was breathing hard. So-min had been his best friend since they were children in Seoul. When the government chose them both for the academy, Jae-hyun felt lucky. At least he would not be alone among the aliens. I just came from the library, So-min said, catching her breath. I was reading about the other species here. Did you know that Vorthak can break steel with their bare hands? Jae-hyun nodded. He had seen the Vorthak students in training. They were huge, almost 3 meters tall, with thick skin that looked like armor. Their hands ended in sharp claws that could cut through metal. When they practiced fighting, the training room shook. The Zentorians are strong too, So-min continued, and the Kethvi can see in complete darkness. Even the smallest aliens here have some special ability. What do we have? This was a question that bothered Jae-hyun every day. Humans seemed weak compared to everyone else at the academy. They had no claws, no armor, no special sight or hearing. Their skin was soft and cut easily. Their bones broke if hit too hard. Even their home planet Earth was called a Deathworld by other species. But not because humans were dangerous. It was because Earth itself was so harsh that it was amazing humans could live there at all. We must have something, Jae-hyun said quietly, or they would not have accepted us here. So-min looked unsure. Maybe. Or maybe they just wanted to be nice to us. You know, politics. They walked together toward the combat training hall. Other students moved around them, talking in different languages. Some alien voices were high and musical, others were low and rumbling like distant thunder. The humans always spoke more quietly than everyone else. The training hall was enormous, with a ceiling so high it disappeared into shadow. The floor was covered with soft mats that could absorb hard impacts. Along the walls were weapons from different worlds, energy swords, plasma rifles, and things Jae-hyun could not name. But today was hand-to-hand combat day, so no weapons would be used. Commander Veltar stood in the center of the room. The Zentorian was impressive to look at. With thick armor plates covering its body and 4 powerful arms, its voice was deep and commanding when it spoke. Today you will practice combat across species lines, the commander announced. The galaxy is not divided by race when danger comes. You must learn to fight alongside all allies and against all enemies. The students formed a circle around the commander. Jae-hyun counted 12 different species in the class. The humans, himself, So-min, and 2 others, were clearly the smallest and weakest looking. Even the young aliens seemed stronger and more dangerous than adult humans. I will assign partners, Commander Veltar continued. Remember, this is training. No permanent damage. No killing moves. You are learning, not trying to destroy each other. The commander began calling out pairs. Each time, Jae-hyun hoped he would be matched with another human, or at least one of the smaller alien species. But as more names were called, fewer options remained. Jae-hyun Kim. The commander's voice boomed across the room. You will face Crixeth of the Vorthak clan. Jae-hyun's heart sank. Crixeth was the largest student in their class, maybe in the entire academy. The Vorthak stood nearly 3 meters tall and was built like a living tank. His skin was dark gray and looked as hard as stone. Razor-sharp claws grew from his fingertips and his eyes glowed red in the training hall lights. Crixeth laughed when he heard the pairing. It was not a friendly laugh. The soft Deathworlder? He said loudly so everyone could hear. Commander, surely you jest. This will not be combat. This will be a lesson in why humans should stick to desk jobs. Other alien students laughed along with Crixeth. Even some who usually ignored the humans seemed amused. Jae-hyun felt his face grow hot with embarrassment, but he kept his expression calm. Getting angry would not help him now, so Min stepped closer to her friend. You do not have to do this, she whispered. Tell the commander you are injured. Jae-hyun shook his head. If I run now, it will never stop. They will always see us as weak. But look at him, So-min said, glancing at Crixeth. He could break you in half. That was probably true. The Vorthak was not just tall, but incredibly broad, with muscles that bulged under his armored skin. His species had evolved on a world where everything tried to kill everything else. They were natural predators, born fighters who had conquered their entire planet before reaching the stars. Commander Veltar seemed unaware of the students' reactions. Begin your warm-up exercises, the commander ordered. Combat begins in 10 minutes. As the students spread out across the training mats, Jae-hyun tried to clear his mind. He had trained in martial arts since childhood back on Earth. His grandfather had taught him that size and strength were not everything in a fight. Speed, timing, and thinking could beat raw power. But his grandfather had never faced a 3-meter-tall alien with claws and armor-plated skin. Crixeth was stretching nearby, his massive frame moving with surprising grace. Other Vorthak students had gathered around him, offering advice in their guttural language. They kept looking at Jae-hyun and laughing. Little human, Crixeth called out. I will try to be gentle. I do not want to break our newest pets too quickly. More laughter from the alien students. Even some who were not Vorthak seemed to find this amusing. Jae-hyun noticed that bets were being placed on how long the fight would last. No one was betting on the human to win. So-min moved close to Jae-hyun during the warm-up. Remember what we learned about pressure points, she said quietly. All species have weak spots. Jae-hyun nodded, but he wondered if that was true for Vorthak. Their whole body seemed designed to be a weapon. Even their blood was acidic enough to burn through metal. As the 10 minutes passed, Jae-hyun found himself thinking about home. Seoul seemed very far away now, on the other side of the galaxy. His parents had been proud when he was selected for the academy. They thought it meant humans were finally being accepted as equals by the galactic community. Looking around the training hall now, Jae-hyun was not so sure. The other students watched him like he was entertainment, waiting to see how quickly the weak human would fall to the mighty Vorthak warrior. Commander Veltar called the class to attention. Time to begin. Remember the rules. First pair, take your positions. Jae-hyun walked to the center of the mat, his legs feeling unsteady. Crixeth moved to face him, towering over the human like a building over a mouse. The size difference was even more obvious up close. Jae-hyun had to tilt his head back just to see the Vorthak's glowing red eyes. Try to make this interesting, little human, Crixeth rumbled, his voice like distant thunder. I would hate to disappoint our audience. The other students formed a circle around them, alien faces filled with anticipation. So-min stood at the front, her hands clenched into fists. She looked more nervous than Jae-hyun felt. Commander Veltar raised one of its 4 arms. Combat begins now. Crixeth moved first, just as Jae-hyun expected he would. The massive Vorthak stepped forward with one huge foot, making the training mat shake under his weight. His right arm swung toward Jae-hyun's head in a wide arc, claws extended like curved knives. Jae-hyun ducked low and rolled to the side. The wind from Crixeth's massive arm brushed past his hair. If that hit had connected, it would have taken his head clean off his shoulders. Rules or no rules. Too slow, little human, Crixeth laughed, turning to follow Jae-hyun's movement. My grandmother moves faster than you, and she has been dead for 50 years. The alien students around the training mat laughed at this joke. Even some of the more serious species like the Zentaurians seemed amused. Only So-min and the other humans looked worried. Jae-hyun got back to his feet and tried to study his opponent. Crixeth was huge and strong, but he was also confident. Too confident. The Vorthak was not taking this fight seriously. He was playing with Jae-hyun like a cat plays with a mouse before killing it. This gave Jae-hyun an idea. If Crixeth thought he was weak and harmless, maybe he could use that against him. Let the alien think he was winning easily, then strike when Crixeth was not expecting it. Crixeth attacked again, this time with both arms. His claws whistled through the air as he tried to grab Jae-hyun around the waist. Jae-hyun jumped backward, but not quite fast enough. One claw caught his training uniform and tore a long rip down the front. First blood to me, Crixeth announced, holding up his claw. A few drops of human blood gleamed on the sharp tip, though I suppose that barely counts as blood. More like water. More laughter from the watching aliens. Jae-hyun could see some of them making gestures with their hands and tentacles, probably adjusting their bets on how long he would last. Commander Veltar watched from the edge of the circle but did not interfere. The Zentarian's expression was hard to read through its armored face, but it seemed content to let the fight continue. Jae-hyun touched his chest where the claw had scratched him. It was not deep, just a surface cut, but it stung. More importantly, it reminded him how sharp those claws were. One solid hit and this fight would be over. "Come now, little human," Crixith said, spreading his arms wide in a mocking gesture. "Fight back. Show us what Deathworlders can do." The way he said Deathworlders made it sound like a joke. To most aliens, Earth was called a death world because it was so dangerous that life there had to be incredibly tough, just to survive. But Crixith and the others did not see humans as tough survivors. They saw them as weak creatures who had somehow managed to live on a harsh planet by hiding and running away. Jae-hyun decided to play along with their expectations. He moved forward slowly, telegraphing his punch so obviously that even a child could see it coming. Crixith easily caught Jae-hyun's fist in one massive hand. "Pathetic," the Vorthak said, squeezing just hard enough to make Jae-hyun wince. "Is this the best Earth can send us? No wonder your species was so easy to conquer." That was not true, and Jae-hyun knew it. Humans had not been conquered. They had joined the Galactic Alliance willingly after first contact. But the aliens liked to tell stories about how humans had surrendered immediately when they saw superior alien technology. "Perhaps we should end this," Crixith continued, still holding Jae-hyun's fist. "You are clearly outmatched, little human. Surrender now and save yourself further embarrassment." "Not yet," Jae-hyun said quietly. Crixith tilted his massive head, red eyes glowing with amusement. "What was that? Did the soft Deathworlder say something?" Jae-hyun used Crixith's grip on his hand as an anchor point, pulling himself forward and driving his knee toward the Vorthak's stomach. But Crixith's free hand came down like a hammer, batting Jae-hyun away like he weighed nothing at all. Jae-hyun hit the mat hard and rolled several times before coming to a stop. His shoulder ached where Crixith had hit him, and he could taste blood in his mouth. The watching aliens cheered for their champion. 11 seconds, one of them called out in accented galactic standard. "I said the human would last 15. I lose credits." "The fight is not over yet," another alien replied. "Look, the little creature is getting up again." Jae-hyun pushed himself to his feet, trying not to show how much his shoulder hurt. Crixith was still standing in the same spot, not even breathing hard. The Vorthak had barely moved during their entire exchange. "Admirable spirit," Crixith said with fake respect. "But spirit does not make up for weakness. Your species should have stayed on their little planet playing in the dirt." So-min called out from the edge of the training mat. "You can do this, Jae-hyun. Remember what your grandfather taught you." Jae-hyun's grandfather had been a soldier in the old Korean army, back before Earth joined the Galactic Alliance. He had fought in several wars and survived them all, not because he was the strongest or fastest, but because he was smart and patient. "Wait for your enemy to make a mistake," his grandfather had told him many times. "Every fighter, no matter how good, will eventually do something stupid. When they do, be ready." Crixith was making mistakes already. He was standing too close, well within range of a quick strike. He was keeping his arms low, protecting his body but leaving his head exposed. Most importantly, he was not paying attention. His red eyes kept drifting to the watching aliens, enjoying their cheers and laughter. But Jae-hyun was not ready to strike yet. He needed Crixith to become even more careless, even more confident that the human posed no threat. Jae-hyun charged forward again, this time aiming a clumsy punch at Crixith's chest. The Vorthak easily blocked it with one arm, while his other hand reached out to grab Jae-hyun by the throat. Jae-hyun twisted away at the last second, but not fast enough to completely avoid the grab. Crixith's claws caught the collar of his training uniform and lifted him off the ground. "This is sad to watch," Crixith announced to the crowd, holding Jae-hyun in the air like a doll. "Are all humans this pathetic, or is this one special?" "Put me down," Jae-hyun said, trying to sound defeated and scared. It was not hard to fake the fear. Being held by a 3-meter-tall alien with razor-sharp claws was genuinely terrifying. "Put you down?" Crixith laughed. "Of course, little human. I will put you down. Hard." The Vorthak drew back his arm, preparing to slam Jae-hyun into the training mat with enough force to break bones. This was exactly what Jae-hyun had been waiting for. Crixith was focused entirely on showing off to the crowd, not watching what the human was doing with his hands. But before Jae-hyun could act, Commander Veltar stepped forward. "Enough," the Centaurian said in a voice that carried across the training hall. This exercise is becoming too one-sided. Perhaps we should try a different pairing. No, Jae-hyun said quickly. I am not done yet. Crix looked down at the human hanging from his claws with obvious disbelief. You want to continue? Why? So I can hurt you more. Because, Jae-hyun said, meeting those glowing red eyes with his own dark ones, I have not shown you what humans can really do yet. This brought another wave of laughter from the alien students. Even Commander Veltar seemed amused by the human's defiance. Very well, Crixith said, setting Jae-hyun back down on the mat. If you wish to suffer more, who am I to stop you? But this time I will not hold back so much. That was exactly what Jae-hyun wanted to hear. A Crixth who was not holding back was also a Crixth who might make the kind of mistake that could change everything. The two fighters separated and began circling each other again. This time Crixith moved more seriously, his red eyes focused and alert. But Jae-hyun could see that the Vorthak was still not truly worried. How could he be? The human had not managed to land a single effective hit in their entire fight. Last chance to surrender, Crixth offered. After this, I cannot promise you will leave this mat conscious. Jae-hyun did not reply. He was watching Crixith's movements, looking for patterns. The Vorthak favored his right arm for power attacks. He always stepped forward with his left foot first. Most importantly, he had a habit of dropping his guard slightly after each attack. Confident that the weak human could not counterattack effectively, Crixith came forward again, this time moving with deadly intent. His right arm swept toward Jae-hyun's head with crushing force. Jae-hyun ducked under it and came up inside Crixith's reach, closer than he had been all fight. For just a moment, Jae-hyun was in perfect position to strike. Crixith's throat was exposed, his balance was forward, his attention was on his missed swing. It was the opening Jae-hyun had been waiting for, but something made him hesitate. Maybe it was the size difference or the knowledge that Crixith could kill him with one casual swipe. Whatever it was, Jae-hyun pulled back instead of attacking. Crixith's left hand came around in a backhand that caught Jae-hyun across the ribs and sent him sprawling across the mat again. This time, Jae-hyun could not get up as quickly. His ribs felt like they were on fire and he could barely breathe. I grow tired of this, Crixith announced, walking slowly toward where Jae-hyun lay gasping on the mat. Time to end this charade. The Vorthak reached down toward Jae-hyun, his massive hands spread wide. But instead of going for the human's throat or chest, Crixith's claws moved toward something else entirely. Jae-hyun's black hair, which had grown longer than regulation length in recent weeks, spread across the training mat around his head. The moment Crixith's claw touched Jae-hyun's scalp, everything changed. It was like someone had thrown a switch inside the human's brain. 1 second, Jae-hyun was lying on the mat, gasping for air and feeling defeated. The next second, his entire body exploded into motion with a speed that shocked everyone watching. The aliens in the crowd barely saw what happened. One moment, their champion Crixith was reaching down to grab the defeated human's hair in a gesture of total victory. The next moment, the Vorthak was screaming in pain and stumbling backward, dark blood spraying across the training mat. Jae-hyun had moved faster than alien eyes could follow. His body had twisted on the mat like a snake, and his hand had shot upward with the precision of a striking viper. His fingers, formed into a rigid spear point, had found the one weak spot in Crixith's massive arm, the joint where the Vorthak's wrist connected to his hand. The sound that filled the training hall was horrible. It was the wet crack of chitin armor breaking, followed by the tearing of alien flesh and the splash of blood hitting the floor. Crixith's severed hand, still tangled in Jae-hyun's black hair, fell onto the mat with a sound like a piece of meat dropping. For a moment, nobody moved. The watching aliens stared in complete silence, their minds trying to process what they had just witnessed. The weak little human, who had been losing the fight badly just seconds before, had somehow cut off the hand of the Academy's most dangerous student. Crixith staggered backward, holding his wounded arm against his chest. Dark blood poured from the stump where his hand used to be, creating a growing puddle on the floor. His red eyes were wide with shock and pain, staring at Jae-hyun like the human had suddenly grown fangs and claws. Impossible, Crixith whispered, his voice shaking. You are just a soft Deathworlder. How did you? Jae-hyun sat up slowly, pulling the severed alien hand from his hair with a look of disgust. He was breathing hard and his eyes had a strange look in them, wild and alert like an animal that had just escaped from a trap. So Min was the first to break the silence. "Medical team," she shouted across the training hall. "We need a medical team now." Her voice seemed to wake everyone else up. Suddenly the hall was full of noise and movement. Alien students backed away from the spreading pool of Crixith's blood. Others called out in their own languages, probably alerting their species' medical specialists. Commander Veltar pushed through the crowd, all four of its arms moving as it tried to assess the situation. The Zentaurian's armored face showed no emotion, but its movements were quick and efficient. "What happened here?" the commander demanded, kneeling beside Crixith's fallen hand. "This was supposed to be non-lethal training." "The human attacked me," Crixith gasped, still clutching his wounded arm. "Without warning. I was only going to grab his hair. It should have been harmless." Commander Veltar looked at Jae-hyun, who was still sitting on the mat. The human looked as surprised as everyone else by what had happened. "Is this true? Did you attack without provocation?" Jae-hyun shook his head, still trying to clear his thoughts. He grabbed my hair. When he touched my head, I just reacted. I did not think about it." "Reacted?" Commander Veltar's voice was sharp. "You severed his hand in less than a second. That requires training and intent, not instinct." "No," Jae-hyun said, finally getting to his feet. "It was instinct. Completely instinct. I have never trained for anything like that." The medical team arrived, led by a small alien with many arms and eyes on stalks. They immediately began working on Crixth, trying to stop the bleeding and prepare his severed hand for reattachment. The medical alien spoke in rapid, squeaking sounds to its assistants. "Move back, all students," Commander Veltar ordered. "Give the medical team space to work." As the crowd moved away from the training area, Jae-hyun found himself surrounded by stares. But these were different from the mocking looks he had received before the fight. Now the alien students looked at him with something between fear and respect. One of the HFY students, with large eyes that could see in complete darkness, spoke in a whispered voice to its companions. "Did you see how fast he moved? I have never seen anything like that." A blue-skinned Andorian nodded agreement. "My species has enhanced reflexes, but even I could barely track his movement." "How is that possible for a human?" Somin pushed through the crowd to reach her friend. "Are you hurt?" she asked, checking Jae-hyun for injuries. "Did he hit you before?" "I am fine," Jae-hyun said, though he was still shaking slightly. "Somin, I do not understand what happened. When he touched my hair, it was like something else took control of my body." Somin frowned, studying her friend's face. She had known Jae-hyun since they were children, and she had never seen him look like this. His pupils were dilated, his breathing was fast, and there was a tension in his muscles like he was ready to fight again at any moment. "Your adrenaline," she said slowly. "When he grabbed your hair, your body must have released a massive amount of adrenaline. But why would touching your hair cause such a strong reaction?" Commander Veltar approached them, having left the medical team to work on Crixith. "That is exactly what I want to know," the Zentaurian said. "Student Kim, you will report to the medical bay for examination immediately after this incident is resolved." "Am I in trouble?" Jae-hyun asked. "That depends," Commander Veltar replied. "If you deliberately injured another student during training, then yes, you are in serious trouble. But if this was truly an involuntary reaction," the commander paused, looking at the blood on the training mat, "then we have a much bigger problem." "What kind of problem?" Somin asked. Commander Veltar's four eyes focused on the two humans. "The kind where we have been completely wrong about your species' capabilities. If a human can move that fast and strike that precisely without training or conscious thought, then everything we know about Deathworlders needs to be reconsidered." Across the training hall, the medical team had managed to stop Crixith's bleeding. They were preparing to transport him to the main medical facility, where surgeons would attempt to reattach his severed hand. The Vorthak was conscious but weak, his red eyes still staring at Jae-hyun with bewilderment. "This is impossible," Crixith kept repeating. "Humans are weak. Everyone knows humans are weak." The lead medical alien, finished with the immediate treatment, approached Commander Veltar. Its eye stalks swiveled to focus on different speakers as it talked. "The wound is clean," the medical alien reported in squeaking galactic standard, "severed at the joint with surgical precision. No ragged edges, no crushing damage. Whatever cut through his hand was incredibly sharp and moved with perfect accuracy." Commander Veltar looked at Jae-hyun's hands. They were normal human hands. Soft skin, short fingernails, no visible weapons.
"How is that possible?"
His hands looked completely normal. I do not know, the medical alien admitted. I have never seen an unarmed strike cause this type of damage to Vorthak Chiton. Their armor is designed to stop much stronger attacks than a human should be able to deliver. More alien students had gathered around, drawn by the commotion. Jae-hyun could hear them talking in low voices, trying to understand what they had witnessed. My cousin fought humans in the integration wars, one alien said to its companions. He said they were easy to defeat, slow and weak. Your cousin must have fought the wrong humans, another replied. Or maybe humans have been hiding their true abilities. Why would they hide? A third voice asked. If humans could fight like this, why let us think they were helpless? Jae-hyun wondered the same thing. He had never moved that fast before in his life. He had never struck with such precision or power. Until this moment, he had believed what everyone said about humans being the weakest species in the galaxy. So-min was studying her friend with growing concern. Jae-hyun, your hands are shaking. He looked down and saw that she was right. His hands were trembling like leaves in a strong wind. His heart was beating so fast it felt like it might burst from his chest. Sweat covered his face despite the cool temperature of the training hall. I think I need to sit down, he said. Commander Veltar caught him as his legs gave out. The Zentarian's forearms easily supported the human's weight. Get him to medical as well, the commander ordered. I want a complete examination of both students. As they helped Jae-hyun toward the exit, he looked back at the training mat. Krixth's blood was still spreading across the floor, dark and thick. The severed hand had been taken away by the medical team, but Jae-hyun could still see the exact spot where it had fallen. Commander, So-min said as they walked. What will happen now? Now, Commander Veltar replied grimly. I have to write a report that will change everything the galaxy thinks it knows about humans. And I have to figure out whether this was a fluke, or whether every human has the potential to do what your friend just did. The training hall fell silent behind them as they left, but Jae-hyun could feel dozens of alien eyes watching him go. Word of what had happened would spread quickly through the academy. By tomorrow, every species represented on Station Kepler 7 would know that a human had severed a Vorthak's hand with his bare fingers. The age of underestimating humans was about to end, and Jae-hyun Kim had started it all with one instinctive reaction to having his hair grabbed in a training exercise. Dr. Hyojin Lee arrived at the medical bay within an hour of the incident. She was the only human doctor on Station Kepler 7, brought in specifically to help with medical issues that other species might not understand about human biology. When she walked into the examination room, she found Jae-hyun sitting on a medical bed, looking tired and confused. Several alien medical specialists stood around him, running scanners over his body and muttering to each other in their own languages. What happened? Dr. Lee asked in Korean, speaking to Jae-hyun in their native language for the first time in months. Jae-hyun looked relieved to hear familiar words. I do not know, he replied, also in Korean. One moment I was losing a fight, the next moment I had cut off an alien's hand. I do not remember deciding to do it. My body just moved on its own. Dr. Lee nodded and switched back to Galactic Standard so the other medical staff could understand. Have you found anything unusual in your scans? She asked the lead alien doctor. The alien doctor, a tall creature with 6 arms and skin like blue rubber, shook its head. Nothing. His heart rate was elevated when he arrived, but that is normal after physical stress. His muscle density is typical for a human. His reflexes test at normal human levels. There is nothing to explain what happened in the training hall. Show me the footage, Dr. Lee said. Commander Veltar, who had been waiting in the corner of the room, activated a holographic display. The recording from the training hall began to play, showing the fight between Jae-hyun and Krixth from multiple angles. Dr. Lee watched silently as the events unfolded. She saw Jae-hyun getting dominated by the much larger Vorthak. She saw him lying on the mat, clearly beaten and struggling to breathe. Then came the moment when Krixth reached for the human's hair. Stop, Dr. Lee said. Play that part again, but slower. The hologram replayed the crucial seconds in slow motion. Krixth's massive claw descended toward Jae-hyun's head. The moment it made contact with the black hair, Jae-hyun's entire body seemed to convulse. His eyes went wide, his muscles tensed, and his hand shot upward with incredible speed and precision. There, Dr. Lee said, pointing at the screen. Do you see that? The moment of contact? Yes, Commander Veltar replied. but I do not understand what I am seeing. What caused such a reaction? Dr. Lee turned to face the room full of alien medical specialists.
How much do you know about human hair follicles?
The blue alien doctor consulted a data pad. According to our files, human hair is a simple protein structure that grows from follicles in the skin. It serves no apparent biological function in modern humans. That is where you are wrong, Dr. Lee said firmly. Human hair follicles are connected to some of the most sensitive nerve endings in our bodies. When hair is pulled or grabbed suddenly, it triggers an immediate pain response. Pain responses do not cause this kind of reaction, another alien medic objected. We have studied pain in dozens of species. You have studied normal pain responses, Dr. Lee corrected. But humans are not normal. We evolved on what you call a death world. Every system in our bodies is designed for survival against predators that wanted to kill us. She gestured to the frozen hologram, where Jae-hyun's hand was caught in mid-strike. On Earth, many predators attack by grabbing their prey's head or neck. Our ancestors who survived were the ones who could react instantly to any threat to that area. Commander Veltar studied the image more carefully. You are saying this was an evolved survival response? Exactly. When Crixith grabbed Jae-hyun's hair, his nervous system interpreted it as a life-or-death attack. His body flooded with adrenaline and activated emergency protocols that have been built into human biology for millions of years. Dr. Lee walked over to Jae-hyun and gently touched his scalp where his hair grew thickest. Even this light contact made him flinch slightly. Look at his reaction, she said to the watching aliens. His follicles are still hypersensitive from the earlier trauma. Right now, his body is primed to react violently to any threat to this area. But the speed, the blue alien doctor protested, and the precision of the strike. Our analysis shows he hit the exact weak point in Vorthak anatomy. How could an untrained response be so accurate? Dr. Lee smiled grimly. Who said it was untrained? Humans have been practicing that exact strike for 3 million years. Every human who survived long enough to have children was one whose reflexes could find and exploit weak points in attacking predators. She pulled up her own data pad and began showing anatomical diagrams to the alien medical staff. Every species in the galaxy has joint weaknesses. Arthropods like the Vorthak have especially vulnerable connection points where their exoskeleton segments meet. A strike with enough force and proper angle can separate these joints completely. Commander Veltar looked skeptical. Are you telling me that every human has this ability? Every human has the potential, Dr. Lee replied, but it requires the right trigger. Most humans go their entire lives without experiencing a threat severe enough to activate these deep survival instincts. What kind of threat? Jae-hyun asked. He had been listening to the conversation with growing amazement. The kind your ancestors faced every day, Dr. Lee explained. Attacks by predators with claws and fangs trying to grab you by the head or neck to kill you quickly. Your brain is programmed to respond to that specific threat pattern with maximum violence and precision. She gestured again to the hologram. When Crixith grabbed your hair, your nervous system thought a predator was about to kill you. It activated emergency protocols that increased your reaction speed, enhanced your coordination, and directed your strike to the most effective target. The blue alien doctor was taking notes rapidly. This explains the physiological changes we observed. Elevated heart rate, dilated pupils, muscle tension, classic stress response but amplified beyond normal parameters. Exactly, Dr. Lee agreed. Jae-hyun's body thought he was fighting for his life, so it gave him capabilities that most humans never need to use. Commander Veltar deactivated the hologram and turned to face the room. If this is true, then we have seriously underestimated human combat potential. How many other species have similar hidden abilities? Very few, Dr. Lee said. Most species evolved on worlds that were dangerous but manageable. Earth was different. Earth tried to kill everything that lived on it every single day for billions of years. The only creatures that survived were the ones that became extremely good at not dying. So Min, who had been waiting outside, was allowed to enter the examination room. She looked around at all the alien faces with their expressions of shock and confusion. Is Jae-hyun going to be okay? She asked. He is fine, Dr. Lee assured her. But the Academy is going to have to make some changes. We cannot have humans accidentally triggering survival responses during training exercises. What about Crixth? Jae-hyun asked. Is his hand? The surgeons were able to reattach it, Commander Veltar reported. He will make a full recovery, though he will have scars. He has been asking to speak with you. Jae-hyun looked surprised. He wants to see me? I thought he would hate me for hurting him. On the contrary, the commander said. He is fascinated by what happened. Vorthak culture has great respect for warriors who can defeat them in combat. You may have earned their highest honor without realizing it. Dr. Lee began packing up her equipment. I will need to write a detailed report about this incident. Every medical facility in the galaxy needs to understand human defensive responses. Will other species be afraid of us now? So-min asked. Some might be, Dr. Lee admitted. But fear and respect often go together. For too long, humans have been seen as the weak members of the Galactic Alliance. Maybe it is time for that to change. Commander Veltar walked toward the door. I must report this to Academy Command. They will want to review all training protocols involving human students. After the commander left, Dr. Lee sat down next to Jae-hyun's bed. How do you feel about all this? She asked. Jae-hyun thought for a moment before answering. Strange. All my life I believed humans were weak compared to other species. Now I find out we have been hiding abilities we did not even know we had. Not hiding, Dr. Lee corrected, simply never needing to use them. Your ancestors used these abilities to survive in a hostile world. You just used them to survive in a different kind of hostile situation. So-min looked thoughtful. If touching hair can trigger such a strong response, are there other triggers we should know about? Probably, Dr. Lee said. Threats to the throat, sudden loud noises, certain types of movement in peripheral vision. Humans have dozens of built-in survival responses that most of us never experience. Should we be worried about this? Jae-hyun asked. What if I hurt someone else accidentally? Dr. Lee shook her head. It takes a very specific combination of factors to trigger this kind of response. Crix grabbed your hair when you were already stressed, injured, and in a combat situation. Under normal circumstances, you would just feel annoyed if someone touched your hair. As they prepared to leave the medical bay, Jae-hyun caught sight of himself in a reflective surface. He looked the same as always. Average height, normal build, nothing obviously dangerous about him. But now he knew that appearances could be very deceiving. Dr. Lee, he said as they walked toward the door, do you think this will change how other species treat humans? 3 weeks after the incident in the training hall, Station Kepler-7 felt like a completely different place to Jae-hyun Kim. He walked through the same metal corridors, past the same blue lights and silver walls, but everything had changed. Alien students no longer whispered and laughed when humans passed by. Instead, they stepped aside respectfully, nodding their heads in acknowledgement. Some even tried to start friendly conversations. Good morning, Jae-hyun, called out a tall HFY student as he passed. The creature's large dark eyes showed genuine friendliness instead of the dismissive attitude it used to display. Good morning, Saldin, Jae-hyun replied, still getting used to aliens knowing his name. The HFY fell into step beside him. I wanted to ask you something. My people are curious about human defensive capabilities. Would it be possible for you to demonstrate some techniques to our combat instructors? This was the third such request Jae-hyun had received this week. Word about human hidden abilities had spread far beyond the academy. Military officials from several alien species had contacted Station Kepler-7, asking for information about human combat potential. I keep telling everyone, I do not actually know any techniques, Jae-hyun said patiently. What happened with Crixuth was pure instinct. That makes it even more impressive, Zaldin replied. Instinctive responses that precise suggest your species has incredible natural fighting ability. So-min joined them as they approached the training hall. She had been dealing with similar attention from curious aliens. Any word on the new training protocols? She asked. Commander Veltar announced them yesterday, Jae-hyun said. No more interspecies contact combat until further notice. All alien students must attend mandatory classes about human physiology, and any touching of human head or neck areas is now considered a serious offense. The changes had been swift and comprehensive. Academy Command had reviewed the incident and decided that the risks of similar accidents were too high. Until they better understood human defensive responses, all training would be modified to account for potential triggers. As they entered the training hall, Jae-hyun saw a familiar massive figure waiting for them. Crixuth stood near the equipment racks, his reattached hand clearly visible. The alien surgeons had done excellent work, but dark scars marked where the hand had been severed. Jae-hyun, the Vorthak called out in his rumbling voice, I have been waiting for you. The entire training hall went quiet. Other students stopped their exercises to watch what would happen between the human and the alien he had injured. So-min tensed beside her friend, ready to intervene if necessary. But Crix did not look angry or threatening. If anything, he seemed almost eager to talk. "I owe you an apology," the massive alien said, his red eyes focused on Jae-hyun's face. "I treated you with disrespect and contempt. I called you weak when I should have recognized a fellow warrior." Jae-hyun blinked in surprise. "You do not need to apologize. I am the one who hurt you. You defended yourself against what your body perceived as a deadly attack," Crixith replied. "Any warrior would have done the same. I should not have grabbed your hair. In Vorthak culture, that gesture means I intended to kill you slowly and painfully." "I did not know that," Jae-hyun said. "Which makes your response even more remarkable," Crixith continued. "Without understanding the threat, your instincts recognized danger and reacted perfectly. You struck the one spot on my body where a precise hit could disable me instantly." The Vorthak held up his scarred hand, flexing the reattached fingers. "My people have been warriors for thousands of years. We pride ourselves on our combat skills, yet you defeated me in a way I never expected or prepared for." Other alien students had gathered around to listen. Jae-hyun noticed that their expressions were no longer mocking or dismissive. Instead, they watched him with the kind of attention usually reserved for dangerous predators. "What are you saying?" Jae-hyun asked. "I am saying that humans deserve respect," Crixith announced loudly enough for everyone in the training hall to hear. "My clan elders have reviewed the combat footage. They have declared you an honorary Vorthak warrior, the first non-Vorthak ever to receive such recognition." Surprised murmurs arose from the watching crowd. The Vorthak were known throughout the galaxy as one of the most exclusive and prideful warrior cultures. They rarely showed respect to other species, let alone granted them honorary status. Commander Veltar approached the group, its forearms carrying data tablets and reports. "Student Kim, I have been looking for you. There are some matters we need to discuss." "Am I in trouble?" Jae-hyun asked, the same question he had been asking for 3 weeks. "On the contrary," the commander replied. "Academy Command has decided to implement a new program based on recent events. We are creating special training courses to help other species understand and work alongside humans." So-min looked interested. "What kind of training?" "Cultural sensitivity courses, for one thing. Too many species have been making assumptions about human capabilities based on appearance alone. We also want to establish protocols for identifying and managing human stress responses." Commander Veltar activated one of its data tablets, showing training schedules and curriculum outlines. "Additionally, we are developing new combat techniques that incorporate human reflexes and abilities. If humans have natural defensive skills that we have been ignoring, we need to find ways to train and enhance them properly." "You want to weaponize human instincts?" Jae-hyun asked, feeling uncomfortable with the idea. "I want to understand them," the commander corrected. "Right now, what happened between you and Crixith is a mystery. We know it was triggered by hair contact, but we do not know how to predict or control such responses. That makes humans potentially dangerous in unexpected ways." Crixith nodded agreement. "My hand was severed by a human who was not even trying to hurt me seriously. If humans can do this by accident, what might they accomplish if they were actually trying to fight?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Jae-hyun had been wondering the same thing himself. If grabbing his hair could trigger such a violent response, what other hidden capabilities might humans possess? "There is more," Commander Veltar continued. "Galactic Command wants to review all human military classifications. If your species has been underestimated this badly, it could change the balance of power in several ongoing conflicts." So-min frowned. "Are they going to make humans fight more wars?" "They are going to stop assuming humans need protection," the commander replied. "For 50 years, human military units have been assigned to support roles because everyone believed you were too fragile for frontline combat. That assessment is now being reconsidered." Dr. Hai-Jin Lee entered the training hall, carrying a medical scanner and several data tablets. She had been working non-stop since the incident, studying human physiology and trying to understand the mechanisms behind Jae-hyun's response. "Perfect timing," she said, approaching the group. "I have some test results that everyone should hear." She activated a holographic display showing brain scans and nervous system diagrams. "I have been studying Jae-hyun's neurological patterns since the incident. What I found is fascinating and terrifying at the same time. The hologram showed a human brain with various areas highlighted in different colors. When Jae-hyun's hair was grabbed, his brain activity spiked in regions we never associated with combat responses. Areas responsible for pattern recognition, spatial awareness, and motor control all activated simultaneously. What does that mean? So-min asked. It means that human brains are wired for combat in ways we never realized, Dr. Lee explained. The neural pathways that activated in Jae-hyun's case exist in all humans. We just never had a reason to map them before. She changed the hologram to show comparative brain scans from other species. Most aliens have dedicated combat centers in their brains, specific areas that handle fighting and aggression. Humans are different. Our entire brain becomes a weapon when threatened properly. Crix studied the brain scans with obvious interest. You are saying all humans have this potential? To varying degrees, yes. Some humans might have stronger responses than others, but the basic neural architecture is universal. Dr. Lee looked directly at Jae-hyun. You are not special or unusual. You are just the first human to have these pathways fully activated in a controlled environment where we could study them. The implications of this statement rippled through the gathered crowd. If every human had the potential for such responses, then the galaxy's understanding of human capabilities was completely wrong. Commander Veltar made notes on its data tablet. This information will need to be shared with military commands across the galaxy. Training protocols, threat assessments, combat strategies, everything will need to be revised. Will this change how humans are treated? Jae-hyun asked. It already has, the commander replied. Look around this training hall. Do you see any alien students mocking humans today? Jae-hyun realized it was true. The casual dismissal and condescending attitude he had grown used to over the past months had completely disappeared. Alien students still watched humans carefully, but now it was with wariness and respect rather than amusement. A new group of alien cadets entered the training hall, fresh arrivals from their home worlds. They looked around with curious eyes.